Welcome to Transformation with Martine. Martine Emmons is a transformational life coach who broke free from childhood abuse, sexual trauma, and overcame cancer to become a powerful force of healing and hope for others. Martine describes traumatic events as fierce emotional tsunamis. They can leave impending doom and destructive tidal waves of emotions that hit you when you least expect it. Martine helps her clients dive into the depths of their trauma and pain as she stands fiercely advocating for them to shine a light on those experiences and find the lesson in the pain. She serves as a beacon of hope that guides you to see the strength, lessons, and purpose that can be born from the pain. You can feel alive with purpose again when you awaken your dormant strength, step into your power with a sense of peace, and discover a new wave of hope with the right tools and support. Martine and her guests are here shining their lights today through empowering stories of hardship and transformation to inspire you to find hope and to see that there is a beautiful blue ocean of serenity, happiness, and fulfillment in your future. Transformation with Martine starts now.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to be here. And as my guest was saying, Friday's any day. Well, not to me. Friday is my favorite day, and it's not because of the weekend or anything like that. It is because of this show, and I truly mean that. There's nothing more exciting and fulfilling to me than bringing on guests who believe like I do that we as humans can get back up from anything. So welcome everyone to Transformation with Martine. This is where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Peggy Wilms, and she is fabulous. We met recently because I am privileged to be a part of an anthology that she created. Woo! I'm so excited about this. I was absolutely fear-filled when I decided to do it, but I thought, you know what? I was scared when I decided to do this podcast a year ago. And I knew that just as I knew I needed to start the podcast, I needed to write this book, and anthology is a perfect way to get yourself started. So Peggy, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you and why you are in this field of development.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, shout out to you and Transformation Talk Radio, since I'm also a host on Transformation Talk Radio. So super proud of the station and everything we do there and our producer there. I am thrilled to be here, and you're absolutely right. We kind of met relationships and community and collaborations we've always said how important that is. You know, our hearts feel that way, but you know, in business, we always say that, but post COVID, and then with this book that I'm putting together, I sincerely mean that. And I've seen that now that we have 30 authors. I think I have one more spot, and we have 7 media partners a part of it. It's been a blessing to meet 37 people and listen to their stories. And so, you know, for anyone who's listening, it is about, we went home with COVID and we had to learn about meeting virtually and talking on the phone and things like that. And so in all sincerity, those relationships are really important. And that's how I met Martine, was through this radio station. We didn't know each other. Right. And we have separate shows. And Jessica has been a part of my life since I've had my show since 2017, I think. And I just said, hey, I'm writing this book. Do you know any cool peeps? Because I'm all about peeps. And she sent out an email. And then Martine found me with her guiding lighthouse back there. Yep. And so that's how we kind of got together. But relationships have always been part of my career. I've been in health and wellness for about 33 years. Whether it was, I'm a certified fitness expert and sports performance nutritionist. I spent 25 years in corporate America as a wellness coordinator and director. And I'm an author, radio show host, and docuseries host where I live coach clients. And so in and out of all of that, I've played in the Western medicine world and the Eastern medicine world. And it is truly all about caring about people and their true health and wellness and well-being. And in all of that, I've been able to see a lot of things come and go. A lot of modalities, a lot of strategies, a lot of tools. And I think it's, you know, conversations like this with you that help us become better people. And, you know, so, hey. This is me. I brought my Wonder Woman mug because I have.
Yes, and you are Wonder Woman. That is absolutely for sure. My Wonder Woman mug is this guy here, my elite coaching cup. Yeah. Tape on and clock in. Let's go.
I love it. I could have shown my donut mug, which is my other favorite from my sister, but I thought that's
perfect.
I'm a donut girl. When I have my special treats, I'm the donut girl. But yeah, I'm so glad to be here, and I just appreciate these conversations that pull in all of wellness and the whole circle of it. And it's not just eating salads, and we're having those more and more of those conversations that we can feel free to talk about relationships and what is your spiritual belief and how do you feel about people's hobbies. And we're talking about so many more things than arguing, hopefully, and politics and things like that. So.
Right. I think I was just telling actually a client of mine that we need more, not only shows like this, but more avenues of connection where we talk about wellness, especially, at least right now. Well, they all go together, but mental health and wellness. Anxiety is so absolutely high right now. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You could be a 6-year-old all the way on up. The anxiety is so high, and these things have got to be talked about, and the resources have to be provided. This is not something that can be passed on the line anymore. Like, oh, no, hush, we don't talk about that. No, we got to talk.
Well, and it's Mental Health Month, and we dedicate a month.
Very true.
And it's so, it's just, it's such a way to, it's like Valentine's Day and Thanksgiving. It has become like, let's dedicate this holiday or month to something. Well, let's do something with it. Actually, let's just not label it. Let's really dive in. And so May is, Mental Health Month. And I think, again, we're both coaches, and through through COVID and through coaching virtually, mental health for the clients, I always tell this story. Through COVID, I ended up having 4 males from age 18 to 22, male clients. And in all of my years, I learned more about where we are as far as mental health, anxiety, self-esteem, relationships, love languages, confidence, imposter syndrome, through those 4 male clients that I had, then almost a compilation of most of my career as far as coaching. And the majority of it is that, everybody says, talk about your feelings and it's okay. And you're a guy, we've got to get to this place, but we still have a lot of societal stigmas against that. Sure. But what I wasn't prepared for is that they weren't able to go out to the bar, and they weren't able to punch a boxing. They weren't able to throw a football. And so when they went inside, getting rid of that aggression and the testosterone levels and the dating and those types of things at that age, they were 18 to 22. So all of that being said, I learned a lot about, ADD and anxiety and suicide conversations and family dynamics. And it was amazing. It was also heartbreaking, but in where we are with, even the book, Martine, writing this book, I've always wanted to write a book, and I wrote a children's book about 20 years ago and illustrated it. Okay. Eventually I'll get published with my publisher because I finally decided to do something with it. Yeah. And then I decided I wanted to write children's books and coaching books and all of that. But I was part of Mayhem to Miracles, which is a compilation book. And that came out last fall. And I've always wanted to write a chicken soup of the soul type book. You and I've had this conversation, and I wanted to do it about 20 years ago with my clients. Like, let's get some testimonies out there and let's have people relate to it and say, oh, I have diabetes and they conquered it and I can do it too. And so 20 years ago, I thought, this is awesome. It's going to happen. And then time got in the way. And then I met my co-author, Marcus Vetstein, who's an endocrinologist, and we're great friends. And I ran his medical clinics, and we've just stayed friends, and we've done lots of pilot studies with stress and diabetes. And we started to have conversations like, well, what about your patients? There's testimonies there. And what about my clients? And we just started having conversations. So last fall, I said, this is it. Let's do it. Let's drop the mic. We're going to do this. And so I thought, well, I'm extroverted. I love people. This is going to be great. I'm organized, can do this. But the biggest part of it I didn't learn is the emotion of bearing, because it's about true stories of the heart, spirit, mind, and body. So it's up to 2,000 words, and the authors, what they do is it's true in the I statement. I experiences, I went through this, I learned this, this is my lesson, my mission, what I would like to do with this experience. I never thought about the emotion of myself bearing that with my frontline editing.
Right.
And we have some serious stories in there that, and if you think writing a book by yourself is hard, try herding stray cats with 37 people. It's been the most blessed experience of my life to do this book with you guys. Really has.
I think it's been amazing, even just having people share excerpts and everything. It's amazing to where this is now and where it's going to be and the impact it's going to have. I want to circle back though on something you said, because I think it's really important. A family member of mine said the other day, as a man, he goes, it's really hard as a man to express anger or anything else. He goes, sometimes I just want to drive in the car and scream. Of course, yes, people are going to think you're insane. And I told him, I said, there are times at home here, I just want to just go. And I think, but God, then all the neighbors are going to come running. I have some really good neighbors around here. What are they going to think? But then I told him, and as he was expressing, it's like it reminded me, my master coach, Sean Smith, was on last week. And one of the exercises that we did in a training, I want to say, God, it was, at least 4 years ago. And he had one of the participants, a young woman that she was just really mad at her dad. And he's like, he goes, all right. He goes, I'm going to get you a big towel and a chair. And he goes, you take that towel and you just go. And at first she had a really hard time, and then she just went. And I told him, I said, you should try that. I said, just go down in your basement or wherever it is. But nobody even, if you scream out, maybe, okay, somebody will hear you, but they're not going to hear you banging on something. Mm-hmm. Do that. That is a way for any of us to get out some of this.
And your bed is a really good way to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I just think that's important.
On top of that, Martine, with these guys, one of the other things is, expressing our feelings and emotions is obviously, we all say that's it's very important. Mm-hmm. We always say that if it's, you start with journaling or whatever, scream in the shower, whatever different modalities might work for you. But with the males, what I learned is, we females, I'm going to be gender biased for a second, but we give each other a buzz. Hey, my husband was a jag, and we just, or we go have coffee or we do whatever. And the guys don't do that as often. Mm-hmm. And it really was, so I always teach love languages, and I know we're going to head to commercial, but I've always taught love languages, especially on how to do them on your own instead of holding other people responsible to fill your own love language. Mm-hmm. And I amped it up big time with my guy clients during that time, because I was like, your quality time, dude, let's figure it out. Or your touch love language, we're going to have to figure that out. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very important. I remember actually when I got together with my husband, blended family, second marriage thing here. That was one of the books that he was reading at the time. And also, the Love and Respect book. Oh, yeah. He's like, I ask you, will you please read these while I am too? And it was actually really good for us. It was really a good beginning, Absolutely. Especially to learn each other's languages and everything. So so we're going to take a break, everyone, and we'll be right back to talk more about wellness and whatever else we come up with. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine. This is where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Peggy Wilms, and we have been talking about mental health and expressing ourselves, whether you're a man or a woman, and being able to do so. So Peggy, in us, for those of you that are just tuning in, possibly, we are doing an anthology together, Peggy and me and many wonderful other people. And I am privileged to be a part of it. And we have been talking about, well, stories, and there's so many stories in here, and Peggy is the frontline person here to see these stories, and it's not always easy to read them. Right. So Peggy, I know you started this because it's been like a conversation between you and Dr. Marcus. And so not just in your practice and his practice and everything, but what in your life made you want to share like this, or to become a wellness coach even to begin with? What happened to you that brought you here?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, being on the other side of the mic, just saying, because as a host, I'm used to asking the questions. That's a great question, Martine. When I look back at my life, I was firstborn, type A, classic, the fixer. I had a super young mom, teenage mom. I think I got to the place where I passed her experiences per se, you know, graduated from high school, my proms, those types of things, go to college. And so it was very, I was very leadership oriented. Well, with that came this, I also had that big empathy. You can do that, you can be this, and let's go troops. And, you know, I suppressed a lot of like even awarenesses of my own health and wellness along the way, because I just didn't have the alarm system for, you know, should I eat? Should I sleep? It didn't dawn on me, just tick, tick. So I can't even remember I could go back to age 2-ish, 3-ish even, and tell you that those skills, it was innate in me back then. Yeah. And as a teenager, I just was always, you know, even if it was teaching aerobics or lifeguarding, or I was always in kind of that healthy kind of place. And then as I got into my 20s, I was a young mom. And as I got into my 20s, it just really exploded into wanting to help others. And I just had lots of opportunities across the world. I was in Germany for 4 years, California, Colorado, and exposed to a lot of different industries. And I started to see all those commonalities in people and really understand people. And I mean, I'm surprised I didn't go into psychology or, you know, psychiatry or something, because I just have this, it's a gift, I would just say, in my ability to connect with people and understand behavior and see little red flags or ways to kind of navigate into like, let's go. I can feel that. And so just over the years, I can peel back onions and get people to say things that maybe they don't know that's there. So it's obviously helped me with coaching. It helped me in corporate America to get leadership, the executive team, to understand the widget makers per se, you know, and to understand the different levels, the employees to understand each other and understand management if you were, you know, in the mail room. So I've just always worked kind of relationships. And in this book, with 30 other people writing stories, it's not like going out and saying, hey, I'm going to write a book with a bunch of coaches and we're going to talk about coaching or a wellness book, or tell me about your diabetes experience. This was an open game. And based off my wellness wheel, you know, I have 24 spokes that I really believe that health and wellness in life is about. And it's not just, you know, about eating well and moving more and sleep and stress. I really believe it's about what are your talents and gifts and creativity and your organization skills and relationships, coping skills, all those things. And so when we based the book on the wheel I use, then it opened up stories for personal awareness or abuse. We've got some meth abusers. We have sexual abuse. We have broken relationships. We have finance losses. We have, obviously, you know, children people who lost their children. It has been such a pleasure every day that I was trying to get the book filled, to be able to have the authority as the front runner, as the co-author, to be able to almost decide. I didn't turn anyone away. There's one person that I really worked hard to see if I could get them to a level to be a part of the book. And it doesn't mean that the content was horrible at all. It just meant, can I get them to a level when someone finishes reading this story, they go, whoa, I connect, I hear the message. Yep. But to also on the other side of it, because we have 7 media partners, all my authors are going to be interviewed. So are all these people willing or able to talk about their stories Or do they want their mom to hear their stories or use their best friend's name? So in just peeling back and kind of ghostwriting, I really realized, like, I got people figured out, and I love it. And I don't know if I'll ever stop compilation books. I'd love to do it with kids. I'd love to do a compilation book with 30 kids and open up their true stories and just let them helter skelter, write about the dog you lost. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, actually. I got a couple writers for you already.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll come away from the compilation pieces. It's such a vessel for relationships.
Yeah, it is. I know I've got, I want to say at least 3 of them on my bookshelf here. And
you're right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, just the anthology type, books like that in general in today's world is such a perfect vessel, because I know for me, I'm just too tired at the end of the day. I keep reading the same 3 pages, right? When I'm reading a novel, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what this is about. And then a year later, it's still on my bedstand. But with how busy we are, and, the quick 10-pager, 2,000 word, you can take a bath and you can resonate, maybe cry or go, okay, that one doesn't connect with me. But on the way, the bus station, you're like, oh my God, I feel just like, I get it, I understand. And just to see the evolution. I was talking to Marcus last night, Dr. Marcus, who's my co-author, and we just see our own evolution, right? We're going back and really, fine tuning and that, finishing up the tail end of this manuscript. And we're looking at the stuff we originally wrote, and we're like, we even have come so far in regards to what we even are willing to talk about, not even necessarily willing, but like deeper. We're like, yeah, we're more comfortable. Like, yeah, I can talk about my eating disorder. You bet, man.
Right.
Whereas coaches, I am extroverted and I am willing to share things, but I never really thought about it. I never really sat back and said, I think my talking about my eating disorder will really help my clients. So why don't I just do that in some of my sessions? I never thought about taking that approach. I can connect with some of them when that happens. And I've worked with a lot of eating disorders, but in this book, I was like, oh my God, I got to go through the same process these guys do. Right? It was hard for me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the stories, I imagine, I've only heard some of them, that you definitely like, whoa, but isn't it a place, like, as a coach and as somebody who helps others? I know for me, sharing my stories now, it's some of them a little bit more on the surface than others, but sharing them now is almost like it happened to somebody else, because it's healed,
right?
And I can share easily. And I think I can go through my library of stories sometimes, with somebody will say one little thing and I'm like, oh, maybe I can help them with just this little bit of my own, or take one of yours and share it over here too, because all of us in this community, we sharing our different stories and writing books and all that we have so many things to touch on and share with others, whether it's an eating disorder or sexual abuse or whatever it is.
That's right. When it came to this book, you've got weight loss and then weight gain. We've got farms lost. We've got, passing away of parents where they've seen the spirit of the passing and the stories of that, and with no judgment, of which we all shouldn't be doing that anyway. Right. We should be listening. And if you resonate, you resonate. If you don't, scroll on, just scroll on, be respectful and listen. Sure. And when it comes to the book and my philosophy of health and wellness, we really need to just pat ourselves on the back and say, we're trying our best. It's just, we don't know what we don't know. And if we don't understand how difficult, when I talk about do you have a flat in your wellness wheel? When you look at your whole wheel of everything we have to balance. I mean, work-life balance. What's that mean?
Right.
It means a lot. Right. So no wonder it's hard to lose 10 pounds or to sleep through the night or to not get divorced. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And when you can recognize that wheel, and if you have a slow leak or a flat and your wagon's going off, metaphorically, I use that, you can take a little pressure off yourself and let go of the guilt and stop beating up yourself. And the more we tell the story such as we are, and the more connection, then we realize they're more like us.
Right.
There are more like-minded people. And mental health wise, we can say, hey, everybody else emotionally eats. Somebody else might be a hoarder. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else might have, done some things to their children they shouldn't have. And you start to connect those things and realize life's not easy. It's tough. And by telling stories, to piggyback what you said about how it gets easier, yeah, that's the point. Mm-hmm. Because eventually you tell your story, and we have an obligation to try to help others, to be mentors, so they don't have to, it's like parenting, so they don't have to walk through the muck like we did. Yeah. What can we do to carry them a little bit, step across that stone and get them to the other side of the river if it's really super, current. And that's what I love about stories, because eventually, you and I can stand up there and go, yeah, this is my story, let's talk. And they have 2,000 people in the audience instead of a best friend over coffee.
Exactly. And that two things, I know we have to go to break, but
Yep.
Two things is one of my mentors, Lisa Nichols. I have the privilege of working under her. And what she always says is, Yana, you are not alone. So all of you out there, you're not alone. I promise you. And, we will have our book coming pretty soon, right, Peggy? So that you'll be able to read all kinds of wonderful stories. And the more that we share, man, the easier it gets. And I'm trying to think of I won't get the quote right or whatever from one of my mentors, but he said that it's almost like you not sharing is taking away from someone else.
It is.
And I think that's more what got me out into sharing, my stories and everything, is like, hey, if I can help someone else, who am I not to share?
Yeah. It's almost a disservice.
You could save somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
By sharing something. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So we're going to take a break, and we get back. Let's talk more about your wellness wheel.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to the place where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Peggy Wilms, and we are talking about wellness and all that it encompasses. So, Peggy, you have a wellness wheel. How do we keep from getting those flats, man?
Yeah, exactly right, girl. Okay, so here's the deal. This is how the wheel was birthed. In 2016, I moved from Colorado to Florida. I decided to break away from corporate America. I kind of had that egotistical thing, like, I'm going to do everything on my own. And then like 2 years later, you go, oh, I'm really tired, right? You're like, so about a year, I was like, I can do my own marketing and accounting, and I can do all that. And then pretty soon it was like, I need to hire those experts to do the things they're good at, so I can do what I'm good at. So the first year I came down here, first 2 years, I had lots of wellness retreats I hosted. I'd get a place for them. 4 or 5 people would come down. I do the fitness classes, their food. And it was kind of just, it was brand new, and it was super exciting. And I started to really realize that wellness was way bigger than my previous experience of just wellness at work and eating well and moving more. And, we've been talking about sleep for a while, and stress was, obviously bubbling. We were talking about that. And back in the early 2000s, I was part of a company where we won a wellness award for our worksite wellness program. And I was part of creating that. And the business I had, we actually sold it to the company I worked for, and I ended up managing it. And it was really kind of cutting edge. We had our own on-site fitness center. We had fresh fruit and vegetables delivered, massage therapists. Nice. So it was about 15 years earlier than when I started my business. And I decided I got to come up with this kind of tool, because I was coaching virtually, this tool that somebody, almost a test where I can see where they are in all aspects of their life, their real world, because it's about them, not a boot camp I've gone to and beat the crap out of them at, because when they got to go home. So when they go home, they've got their husband who loves donuts, or they've got their 4 children that nobody at boot camp asked them about having 4 children. So, I mean, how do they balance all of this nutrition and exercise and journaling when their life is way different than the other 20 people in boot camp? So I started this real world, all about you kind of concept. So I wanted a tool or a test that could figure out, like, where is Martine? Oh, you have 2 kids. Oh, this is great. Do you have any grandchildren? Oh, you have 4 jobs. Oh, you have diabetes. What's up?
Yeah.
So I wanted this to have a metaphor to it that people could relate to. So I kept thinking wellness wagon. Are you on the wagon? Have you fallen off the wagon? Kind of like alcohol, right?
Yeah.
And the wheels and the spokes of the wheels and the center of the hub being not doing quite so well. And the big tread on the outside going, if I'm doing really well, that tread has got some ground and we're just rolling along towards goal and it's like things are awesome. So on those spokes, they could put their nail on the spoke from 0 to 10 of how well they're doing.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, now I got to come up with what's going to be on the spokes. So I was like, okay, let's break this thing down. And that's where I came up with as many areas I could think of in someone's life that we could try to balance, whether the wheel be small or larger. Small if they're not doing so well, they're still going to get there. And that's when I come up with the 4 quadrants. So I divided 6 spokes up into heart, 6 into spirit, 6 into mind, and 6 into body. And we focus on everything from your medical appointments. Are you getting a mammogram? Have you had your teeth cleaned? So we've got a spoke for medical, for sleep, for stress, for organization, habits, spiritual life, your belief system, your coping skills, so there's 24 different spokes. So really it's a tool that I can use to figure out where my clients are. And that concept, that infrastructure is what we brought forward into the book with the 4 chapters and the 24 spokes to allow any story to find a home in this book. So we want to write 3 books in a row, kind of like 3 volumes as part of the 4-fold formula, and the 4 being the 4 quadrants of the wheel, and allow us to really kind of celebrate that tool, so to speak.
Excellent.
Long story long.
Yeah. So I'm sure that then any client would kind of walk away with well, it's progress. You see where you are right now. And then, review it in a month or so and okay. And that keeps you going, as I mentioned with one of my guests recently, I can't remember who it was, but it's like, we need celebration.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
We really do.
What I love about, what you just said is exactly what I do. Because what happens is I'll get a client who said, can you help me? I want to run a marathon in 6 months. Okay, great. That's wonderful. However, you have 168 hours a week. So if we're going to run a marathon in 6 months, how many hours are you willing to dedicate with where you are with your physical ability right now? So what it's going to take to get there, how many hours a week are you going to work out, spend on your nutrition plan, sleep, a recovery plan, you're going to get a massage every week, and you have 2 kids and you work 8 to 5. So when you look at their wheel and you're able to say, oh, okay, but over here, you already told me that you're a 3 in your relationship with your husband. So you don't see him. It's no date night. It's no conversation. And you fight. That's now going to be a 1. So now you're running a marathon, but now your husband's leaving. And your house is already disorganized because you just shared with me you haven't opened the mail in a month. So are you willing to slow down the marathon goal and maybe go out 9 months while we try to balance all these other little baby punctures, rather than setting a goal that we keep missing the mark on? And we're missing the mark because we don't really know if it's attainable. We don't know our resources for real. We don't know if that, we have a support system. So it just kind of pulls everybody back. And with what you said, that it changes if you look at it in a month, you lose your job.
Yeah.
What goes with that? Gym membership. Oh, you don't have the trainer now. So if you look at it in a month and there's something that comes up, you can redesign your strategies and kind of relook, changes it. change a
Yeah.
tire, you know?
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. Some of us, like, I know I've had clients where you just kind of want to take the remote, fast forward through this part, but I don't need to pay attention to this or this or this, or, it's just move along that, I'll get there. I'll get there. I just want to focus on this. I don't want to care. I don't want to care about that. And it doesn't work that way.
No, and it comes back to haunt you tenfold, because what happens, we get super hyper blinded, right? So especially with nutrition. So, we know that losing weight and maintaining your weight is about 80%. I mean, it's like 80%. You can't exercise yourself to go and stay there. What study you want me to send you? Give me a buzz. Can't do it. And so if you keep doing that, keep gaining and losing the same 50 pounds, you've now lost 1,000 pounds over your lifetime. Why? It's because you hyper focused on it and you forgot everything else around you, which all of a sudden in 6 months, you can no longer maintain that hyper focus on that nutrition because everything else blew up. So if you dial it back and you start your nutrition with, let's start it with only eating out once a week. Oh, that's important. You eat out 10. So let's dial it back to 1 instead of saying you're not going to eat out anymore and there's no sugar and you're not going to have dairy and you're going to cut your fruits and veggies up 6 days a week. And that's going to cancel out in 30 days. And then we start not celebrating, like you just said.
Yeah.
What celebrations are there if we keep coming up shy, to the goals we set? Because we forgot everything else. It's going to bark, the squeaky wheel, right? Gets the most attention.
Right. Yeah. It's the micro goals, or as Lisa Nichols says, it's the needlepoint moves. Just make small ones. Yes, it may take longer to do something, but this way you're going to follow through and it's actually going to work.
Yeah. Or you can wait till New Year's. And what can we do? I always say, grab your highlighter and just change the year, because for most of us, the New Year's resolution is very similar to last year's. And it's because it's really lofty, or you haven't really thought about it is it really desirable? Like, do you really want to lose 30 pounds, or would you like to lose 5 or 10 and keep it off and paint your house?
Right.
Let's build some confidence, have a healthy atmosphere that you love your house and you're proud and you're confident. Maybe you will clean out the closet and recognize you don't want to wear size 24 anymore. Now you've all of a sudden lost 10 pounds instead of just, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose 30 pounds, because we don't put enough thought into what we really desire and want to do. We would nail things if we became passionate about what we really want, not what we think society. Who cares about New Year's resolution? Why do we do it every 365 days anyway? Should do it once a month.
Yeah, that's it too. You can reevaluate, write down your goals and make them into little micro goals, and then celebrate next month. What did I accomplish? Where do I need to pivot?
That's exactly.
That's definitely the way to go. We've learned.
Where's my gavel?
Yes, there you go.
You nailed it, Martine. You nailed it.
Well, we nailed it, but thank you. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back with some final thoughts from my amazing guest, Peggy. Welcome back, everyone, to Transformation with Martine, where we conquer everything and compromise nothing. My guest today is Peggy Wilms, and we've been talking about wellness and mental health and just everything all of that encompasses, and genuine, real, authentic conversation. And when we connect like this on this show and other platforms, this is where transformation happens, in my opinion, because it's real. It's not... there's nothing phony about this. Like, we are genuine in our sharing. And that's why I love this. Yeah. So Peggy, I imagine with your show and with this book and your practice, I bet you've heard some amazing stories. Do you want to share any, or do any come in mind?
I absolutely would love to. I have quite a few that come to the forefront. It reminds me of a story we actually have in the book that is fascinating. We have a barber in the book who is sharing his like top 3 stories that he has been exposed to for 20 years. He's been in the industry. Ziggy Salvation is the author, and he's sharing 3 of his stories from what he's heard behind the barber chair.
Oh my gosh.
And it reminds me of what I get to witness from kind of behind my barber chair and when I'm working with these clients. And one of them was super profound, and it kind of ties into social media. So bear with me here for a minute. When I was doing my transformation show, my Coach Peggy real-time show, it was a journey that I wanted to take that was very reality TV show-ish, in the sense of I wanted audiences at home to be able to see through the cast members over a 10 or 12-week show aired on social media. Oh my gosh, these are real people. These people are overweight. These people are this, and it's aired on Sunday, and they're sitting there and going, oh my gosh, like that's me on this couch. As I was advertising for the cast for that, I was posting on my platforms, and I was then coaching someone just like this, a random person. And I looked at my phone, and on my phone, this person's name came up. And I looked at it, and it was a person from my far, far past that I'd coached. And I saw it come up, and some reason in my gut, I said, I got to take that call. And mind you, I'm coaching. And I just asked that person if I could put them on pause. I looked at that text, and that person's text said, I just saw your recruitment ad on LinkedIn, and I need to talk to you right away. I'm not doing well. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm tying it in because there's so many people I've worked with this book, and professional people who are nervous about social media. They're nervous about being out there. They're nervous about even posting something about their business or a blog or something, because who's going to see it? And it's mostly the rejection piece. What if nobody does a thumbs up? Or what if nobody says anything? Or worse yet, what if somebody says something? I can tell you right now, this person who I called after that client call was suicidal, who was drinking himself to death, who had lost his wife that year and his job that year. And because of my LinkedIn post, I hadn't worked with that person since 2014. If I hadn't posted that, if I hadn't looked at that, all of that is social media, I don't know where that story would go. And one of those testimonies is I ended up working with him again, and I worked with the wheel and your 168 hours and where are you on everything, dumb down his goals. And that I will never forget that particular story ever. Another story I have is working with a family of 4. The teenage son, college son, mother and father, and the insight I was able to have in the family dynamics versus if you work with just the mom. So truly understanding sabotage or not sabotage, different goals. You know, one had a career goal, that the children had a career goal. The mom wanted to maintain her weight. The dad had a professional. And so that ability, those testimonies I had with 4 people, which I worked with simultaneously with HIPAA compliance, right? And going, oh no, I haven't heard that from mom. And going, I don't know how that's going, you know. But if it was dangerous, I mean, obviously, I would have said something.
Yeah.
And the third thing that comes to mind when I was thinking about sharing this stuff is in the work environment. So for a long time, I really felt if we could honor people at work with what they love and what they're good at, regardless per se of what their job description said, if you could wax and wane a little bit, whether it's the time of day they come in, whether they can run a committee that you wouldn't even think, lead a little class about something engineering-ish, or over here talk about moms, and you honor them in the workplace and figure out what they really love, what their passion is. Teach a pottery class at lunch, and you give that environment, that feeling of family to who's writing your check. They show up because people stay at a job or leave a job because of who they work with. It's not because of the check. Never. If you really think and sit people down and talk to them, they could be making 6 figures and they will leave because their boss didn't say, hi, I appreciate you. You've done a great job. can I help you with, oh my gosh, I heard. So in the work environment, a lot of those types of testimonies that I've seen and witnessed and helped guide, where people could really be honored for what their skill set was a little bit more and heard. I think it's the heard thing with stories, Martine, that I would say, like, sit down and tell me what you like or don't like about your job.
Yeah.
How would you change it? What can we do about it? It's listening. It's
Right.
just like stories. I mean, the 30 of us that are together, you guys, on this book. If you sat down 30 people in your life and talked to 30 people, it would not be as awesome as having a relationship with 30 strangers. And I'll tell you why. Because when you have a tight network, we tend to only tell certain things because of our own self-judgment we bring to the circle. What would my aunt really say about me if I really told her that, I did a lot of drugs when I was 13? When I bring together in a safe environment, and with the conversations we have, I held you, I hold everybody, I want to honor them. And you bring together these people and say, I have you, with no judgment.
Yep.
Share your story. Because in my heart, I know those 30 people are going to save 60 people.
Yes.
And 90 people. And 4,000 people. And with social media, the way I want to tie it back around is, you guys, I'm telling you right now, I've seen it a million times. You do not know who is sitting on your couch, who is ready to take something, who's going to read your story or see a video you posted in your backyard drinking coffee. It brings me to tears, because these stories, you may never get a thumbs up. You may never get an email that Peggy, you're so great, you changed my life. But I damn straight know that I did, because somebody heard something some way, and they're going to hear you, Martine, and they're going to hear a Ziggy Salvation story.
Yeah.
And we're going to change lives because we're telling stories.
Yes.
Stories.
It's it. I posted just a crazy little thing, that when I went walking this morning, there was like this pebble in my shoe. And I'm like, why, and I was trying to just kind of move it around, like trying to get comfortable with it. And I'm like, why don't I just unlace my shoe and take the damn pebble out, right? Because it reminded me, and the reason I finally did that was it reminded me of Les Brown's story, of the dog sitting on the porch howling because it's laying on a nail and it won't move.
It won't move. Yeah, exactly.
And it's so like, true. Stories. But see, it's stories. When I'm walking like this, Les Brown's story pops into my head. Well, the stories that we have in our book, and any of you out there, you sharing your story, you don't know what you could do to somebody's lives. And it might not even be at the moment. It may be some other time when they're thinking, and you pop in their head.
Absolutely. And just to tie it up, because I'm looking at here, I just want to say to anybody that's listening, you don't have to put your fingers on a keyboard, okay? You can talk in your phone today. You can write your own blog. You can have your own little tiny video that you turn off your comments. If you want to blog for me on my website, email me at peggy@allthingswellness.com. Yes. I will give you an opportunity to tell your stories, to put your poetry out there. I'll connect you with the right people. I have people who have people, Martine, we're sharing what we do personally and professionally and connecting. So that was a lot, but hey.
It was good. It was good. Thank you so much, Peggy. This has been absolutely fun. And I know that there are people out there listening that will benefit. And this show is for you, all of you out there listening. And I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you again so much, Peggy. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Jacob, for producing.
Yes, Jacob is so awesome.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to Transformation with Martine. Did listening today spark a sense of hope and possibility? Hold on to this feeling and tune in every second and fourth Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific for more inspiring conversations with Martine and her guests. They will show you there is hope, and you are right where you need to be. Martine is dedicated to supporting you right where you are while launching you towards promise, passion, and possibility that leads to the fulfilled life your heart aches for. If you're tired of being stuck, schedule a complimentary consultation with Martine and get on the exciting path towards the life you want to be living. Visit martineemmons.com and make your appointment today.